Ifeanyi Chris Oputa is a dedicated advocate for small businesses across Nigeria.
I'm not talking about government now. I'm talking about just a whole country where people who have the power
Yes.
squeeze and squash and everything to people who haven't got the power.
Serving as the Director General of the Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industrialists, NASI. In his role, he has become a powerful voice for countless MSMEs, ensuring their needs and challenges are addressed at the decision-making table, where policies that impact their survival are crafted.
So imagine something costs 10,000 naira this one day. And the black market is also 10,000 naira. The government of the day makes it 5 times the price. Not because the black market was high. Not like this is recent. It just put the figure. So the entire country went gaga.
His work with NASI has been pivotal in shifting government perspectives and fostering support for small businesses in Nigeria's volatile economic landscape. He also spearheaded several small businesses as essential cash cow for COVID.
If you're an enterprise person,
Yes.
you will notice how awash Nigeria is with opportunity. It was a wash when I was a kid, 11. It was a wash at 13. It's a wash today, a wash at 20-something.
His entrepreneurial journey has taken him across the globe, enriching his enterprise and solidifying his position as an industry leader.
Someone like he looks at people who are selling their property to go to Canada or Japan or something, or to go to Australia or go to India. When Nigeria is awash with opportunity.
This episode promises to be one of the best episodes. Hello, Africa, and you're welcome to another episode of CEOs Unscripted on Mr. Dex Africa. This episode promises to be one of the best episodes. All our episodes are really great, but I've heard these stories that I'm very excited. So, my guest today, somebody I've been tracking for a while, right? And his story is very encouraging. It shows that anything is possible. And I hope you hear for yourself, and I encourage you pick a point or two that you can apply in your life and business. Please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Ifeanyi Oputa.
Well, see,
Thank you very much, Mr. Ifeanyi Oputa, to be here. It's I love it. I can't wait to get into it. So I'm going to dive right in, okay? Right. And I'll ask, point blank, were you born with the silver?
nope. I was out to school. Last year was a plus. Let's say, in today's Nigeria,
Yeah.
a person earning what my parents earned then would be called a person living in the silver spoon in today's Nigeria. But in that Nigeria, that was average living. Well, there wasn't anything with average you. Both parents were educationists. Father was and I was born when they were having their masters. They just after having me and Christ both left behind with my sister and with their grandma. I went to America, where he went to do their masters in California, on University College Davis, California. And then when I was a year old, he's dragged there with my sister. And spent 10 years there after. So my early formative years were in Davis, California, and I never from that point. So let's say there were students. So students don't have spoons, though.
So you started as a chemical engineer and you started business at school. Yes. What informed that? Why did you come back to Nigeria? They said we were because school in Nigeria.
Yeah, what happened? So after at the time, most people who went to high scholarships or went to school abroad didn't go there to Japan. They wanted to get degrees and come back home because there were more opportunities in Nigeria than there were internationally, and so people were excited to come home. So my parents, my dad first of all came back home, followed by my mom, who came on a holiday with us, not knowing that we were about to be kidnapped. But that So far, I'm getting back. He sees our passports and not our passport. I was forced to. When he came back just to visit my dad, and God rest his soul. But honestly, he did that on purpose.
What this? Did you ever ask him why?
He was easy to find out. So see, my mom liked American life and was thinking of furthering her courses and reading, and but he, young family, 3 kids, he wanted to go with them to come back to Nigeria. But the lessons I learned, a lot of lessons I learned on the trip there, made the circumstances in Nigeria spread as day, opportunities were as bright as day. The 2 early experiences I had shaped my whole thing to today. One of them was sweet, one was sour. The sweet one was I never liked, none of us in my house in our home liked to go to church. My parents were practically waking us up and driving us to church, like most kids at the time. But then something interesting happened. After Sunday school, I was about to go home. The priests, because we're Catholics, forced us back and said, "Hey, don't you know that every Sunday, moms make something? Every mom is chosen to make something for that Sunday. So this Sunday, the mom made donuts and chocolate cake. He's not. She says to us. After that day, every Sunday, 6 people, that's the next night that happened. Shit that at the time we were there at the States, it was an all-white town. Dix was an all-white town. They make a few black people were international students who come, but everybody this community, white community. And my mom always told us that the 4 black students were immigrant, well-known, who were from a little from Africa, and this is America, and they need to be careful how to say. So in school, I did a little breaking friends, and in my class, Zureka Lawrence King, and Lawrence was being bullied all the time by this bigger guy who would come in and check his lunch every morning. So you can come in lunch break.
Yeah.
And then scare him away. And it happened to cross from this, and then so this particular day I stood up for Lawrence. He said, "Hey, you can't do this." And the guy attacked me, and I gave him a beating of a lifetime. Yeah, I was short, smaller than him, but I was really, really upset. So I didn't know why. I couldn't stop. And the next night I was unfold into the principal's office in with them is more cops. They call my mom all cops, and my mom now says, keep quiet. What they said, you know it. I'm going to be system. Wow. And my mom would watch it. So she means to what? And so we will break Paul. And I said, wow. You told me to always look after people who are weaker than, who are vulnerable, who are weak, and don't let people get touched. Always stand up for people who are helpless. And I stood up to this guy who was, I didn't attack this guy. He attacked me. Why am I being suspended? The other book kids are meant to ask.
Yes.
Why am I being suspended? Second one. And she is at work. And I bought a very interesting king. She caned me. But the thing I can't forget in my life is that as she was caning me, she was crying. And she wept all through. I was at any cry. I said, "Oh, you told me to take care of the little ones. You told me this." And that's part of the story that drives me to this very minute. Okay. So, now, Nigeria, as I said, we came on holiday, Christmas holiday, and the dad had already had his plans. So we were forced to stay back. He had up our home in America, goes in and shipped back our things, container. And they got into secondary school, which is international school in ISI. But in that, when I was 11, I remember, I'm like, folks, the first Sunday in Ibadan, we went to church, which was the SS Peter Paul Seminary. It's a Catholic seminary in Pala. Huge. And after the church, I was all judged up that, okay, maybe I want to see Nigerian chocolate cake. Oh, that's church. I saw all the kids came out and so eating these things that to me looked like stones. Oh, and I was like, they're very hard. And bitter is so over it's a chicken. Okay. So after church they eat chin. Very good. And it didn't make sense because chicken, loaded as it was, had nothing in the chocolate cake. And so the next Sunday, I went to the kitchen, but I don't have a household. That I didn't fit with it, but when I baked, because I learned that you always learn how to bake in the airport. So I baked chocolate cake and packaged a whole lot of chocolate cake. Got the house up to follow us to church. I presented, because it's a table where you keep all the things that were sold. So for sale, not for free. And we sold out the cake in a second. Another touched the chinchin. So that means that, okay, people were taking the chinchin because they don't for an option. Cake sold out in a second. My parents didn't know about this. I just arranged it correctly. And continued to do this every Sunday. Amassing a little fortune along the way until my operation was busted. So that's called it. Coming at 2 a.m. in the morning to his kitchen. Because I always close get it turn on the lights. Come on, you see us busy. Big. So we stopped the operation. He tells my mother, her son, it's always, when it goes bad, what's our son? See our son? What's it? This good side? What's it? What is he? I think that they get up. We're not taking care about our family. He's busy baking at 2 a.m. He's not going to trust us. So he saw that as he saw you do the business at that day, as you try to make ends meet. Exactly. Because I've never, even till tomorrow morning, the guiding principle is not strictly just about the money. I see an opportunity. I see something that can be done. The adrenaline rush in doing what, like doing trailer, give birth to that baby. That is the rush. The money is a nice byproduct, yes. But the main rush, the main adrenaline rush comes from actually seeing an opportunity, planning it out, and killing it. That's the rush. See the country. Yeah, that's the fulfillment. That's the crazy kicker. And then everything else adds up. That's what it's there. So that was something there. Thank you. So the first story was how you went into doing entrepreneurship as an early age. The second one was standing up for people. Yep. How did that affect, you going forward? Because you said that story for a reason, which is sour. Yes. Now going forward, because you see, there I had a school unit was being oppressed. Yeah. By a bigger bull who had the strength, the resources, right? Like Koreans. Coming to Nigeria, I came across a whole country. Locals. I'm not talking about government now. I'm talking about just a whole country where people who have the power, yes, squeeze and squash and everything to people who haven't got the power. And so that's been a very interesting. So all through my business times, I've always tried to stand up when I can for those who just do not have anyone stand up for that. And that's all over the country. It's people who don't understand it. You see, because especially in the last 20 years, where we all values are lost as a collective society is. So more and more, the person with the money is the person who gets listened to, no matter what happens. It's so bad that people who have intellectual property Since I'm also in the creative arts and in the art space. Yes. So intellectual property is most of the people in the judiciary today do not even understand the laws relating to intellectual property. It's still be taught. It's still a new thing in 2025. Do you understand? So someone who has the ideas gets into a transaction with someone who has the money. And when if there's a dispute and they go to the police station or go to the court, the simple question is, how much did you put in? I put in 10 million. How much did this guy put in? I put in the idea. To the Nigerian average person, if they have an idea to but what everybody has to guess. Do you understand? The money guy is the person who should own the business. And that's what happens. Bullies everywhere. And the time you can find, when you can find an intellectual property lawyer, I love what he's doing. It costs a fortune. Because it doesn't cost what a typical litigation lawyer costs. So most people who are vulnerable cannot afford an intellectual property lawyer. So they cannot even get representation at all. And they're very few and far between. In we had our first need to find one in 2002. We could not find a single intellectual property lawyer in Kaduna or Abuja in 2001. A single one. Then later on, we got a couple of people came into the space. Eventually, now there are about maybe 10 or 15 that really know they're doing in the digital space. Because the other ones were okay in the analog space. But in the digital space, were very few. In 2025, we got so bullies, people have been bullied. People are losing their hope. People are just ignorant as well about what their rights should be, and they're being squashed. So that's part of why I'm a Nazi. So as a Nazi, I'm able to stand up for that.
That is a very noble cause. And my corporate prayer is that whatever vision you had for small businesses come to life, I'll take it to that email to that. You try your hand on many things in school, textile, food and beverage, manufacturing. Why do you not do many things? Do you get bored easy doing one thing? Then how do you get into serial entrepreneurship? Yes, you tried something when you were in secondary school.
Yes.
You got boss. No, that's else. Yes. Where did you start again? Live tournament.
Yeah. 3 years later, so that cages episode happened. It was I was 11. So 2 years later, something that those people who had parents in the education space remember that most lecturers and professors have something called sabbatical leave, where the government or somebody pays for their pays on tickets for them to go international and are studying sabbatical leave. So my dad had an annual sabbatical leave, and he would go to see his peers and outsource other these pieces. But we cared a lot. So we go on holiday. So we just made it happen that summer. We'd go on holiday alongside him going to Sparta. So that summer in they put all of us were staying at Twatch and Motto. And we went shopping, and I noticed that it was end of summer, so the summer sales I kicked it. And I saw fashion that they say, I just see on the wall, £30, now 2 cars, or £30 plastic. Go another.
Is a the basic.
So I said, this is serious shit. So this is serious. So all my siblings were busy buying stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Because something else happened before that. My mom had opened she's serial entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
She opened a fashion house in Ibadan. And I worked in the fashion house every day. So I knew about fashion, ladies fashion. I knew because women spend more on fashion than we do. So I said, you know what? This is a thing in this sale. Are things that would sell in the second back home there. Our secondary school was inside the campus, university campus. So we knew that when we drive out of school, we'd see it, students dressed to kill. So there's heavy fashion sense like any universities. So I said, you know what, I want to buy premium fashion and try and sell it instead of buying it myself. So I spent everything I got from my parents to go to all the stores and pick up sizes ready. Since I always in the 11 was biggie. But 13 was the club. I worked every summer, every weekend in the fashion store. I try to stop by. No one asked to. I'd love to go and see what the mindset is different. So I just love to go and see the day and how they. So I learned how to cut. I learned how to make patterns. I learned how to sew and stitch and put buttons. I did in all 9 years of making a dress, and I learned that in a heartbeat. Wow, it's all it feels I've been here. So by the time I go to Kuwait, using patterns, I then understood the meaning of the sizes. So I could look at someone and tell you the person's size. Till this minute, I could tell you a woman's size. I see her standing. I'll tell you her top size, her skirt size, UK sizes, because of that experience. Because we've had to sew to measure hundreds of students with uniforms in the Ghana case. So anyway, so I buy all these clothes. I choose them because I know I understand fashion. Rather back in huge box. My dad idea was, who is this? Where is this from? Where did you get these things? I had to show you all the prices because he needed to know that I was what I've done. I showed him all the prices, and this is where I put them. That's how I spend. And so I bought huge boxes of things, about 3 or 4 boxes. All my siblings for tiny things. With their muscle, you use their boxes. So I use their weight. Hey, because we're all entitled to buy this I made. Came back and then went to campus. I started back. Found the boutique, very couple of the team that all students went. And I gave him the fashion. They said, this is what I have. Did Connor check it out of my house as a Zappies. He saw everything, he was excited. 13. Yeah. He was excited. He said with it, because all the price tags were still there. So the sale price, if it's £30 and it's for £5, the £5 is a sticker.
Yeah.
Stick on the stick. So you see, I said, look at me. So I told him, you know what? Everything I have, buy half price. If it's £30, pay 50. Product. If it's £40, pay try. I knew what I was doing. I knew my prices, obviously. So we sold to him, and he paid me half the money on the spot for all. And 2 weeks later, the balance, half the money was plus 3 times what I spent. Yes. The half. There's all the money I spent times 3. Yes. And then you got another. So at that point, I said, I have to do this. I just have to do this for me. And our passports were more. So I had to do a deal with more. And then get her to convince her to release her husband to me. And so I would take every another Friday up to all, every 3 Fridays, I'd go to, going to Lagos to visit my uncle Stephen, is their car. I'd go to their house, head to Lagos, and take a night flight, which is Nigeria Airways. Arrive in Heathrow at 5 a.m., head straight to Hatton Valleys, where the dealers were with the fashion, because they would buy up all the sales from here. You came here, I'd really at Hatton Gardens Market. I'd get there, they're waiting for me, pay, select what I want. You give me extra, because at a certain time they give you extra when you buy a block here. And they say when you come back next time, you pay for this ones. And this ones, you just take everything. So I come back overloaded. And the boutique guy was taking on everything I'll bring. He now started to search other boutiques. He was making a fortune. And I was making a fortune. And so it's continued throughout my secondary school till I got into university. Second year. And then the university, the things that happened thereafter, which we help the young people out there, are what we call the 3 tsunamis. Okay? There are 3 major tsunamis in Nigeria before the turbulence we see today. These are small. This is child's play. The first tsunami.
Yeah, metaphoric tsunamis.
Yes, but the person is. Now, because I was always trapped and I had to change money up all the time, so I knew the rates due to change money. But when I started, I was changing 70 pence. I think it was the Naira would give you, it was 1 to 1 for $1 at a point. But even when you buy the bank rates, we're getting above 70p or 80p also for it. It was very great. So you buy £1,000 back rate, you buy the best black pound. So we have these dealers that buy all my money for them. And the rate wasn't more than 1 naira to 1.5 at the black market, highest rate. And then all of a sudden, at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, there's a military coup happens, and the military force, without looking at the race, not any iota of anything. Yeah, they just changed naira from 1 to 1 to 1 to 5 on air. It was not 5 naira in black market. Yeah, it's not like there was 5 naira somewhere. They just put the rate at 5 naira per dollar on air. So people who were lecturers who had the kids abroad or whatever, they could no longer keep kids abroad. People who were traveling for everything just collapsed because it came 500% increased. All the stores, we had the biggest, most beautiful stores in Nigeria. ShopRite is nothing. ShopRite is nothing. Ebano, all these non-lovely shops, they're nothing. We had Kingsway, Leventis, UTC. They were this. Forget my facts. So everything was there. It was like going to the States. Yeah. Everything was in Leventis. Everything. And they were competing. It wasn't like one big superstore. Yeah. VCC, Kingsway, Leventis competing, importing employees. And then suddenly this spiraled to, well, see, everyone closed the stores and the stores are closed. Because every store closed down that next store, let's see, you couldn't buy a toothbrush. I was there. What happens then? They just start changing prices. And next week you go to the store and everything is 5 times the price. So imagine something costs 10,000 naira this one year. And the black market is also 10,000 naira. The government of the day makes it 5 times the price. Not because the black market was high. Not like this is recent. It just put the figure. So the entire country went gaga. But salaries didn't change. So income remained the same. But so people who were at the now had amassed a small fortune in naira. In my account at was called IBWA, International Bank of West Africa, which became AfriBank. There's a branch of the Campus Gate, which is still there. I don't know if that what it's called now. Another branch when I went to UBA in Unilever, I had my accounts in these places. And there were ledger accounts. And there's no for the computer. Yeah, it said a ledger account. So it goes to the bank with your ledger card. And you have a lot of money, but it's now 5 times its value. So everyone was stranded. Now, at the rates at which, let's delete it, sorry. Yeah. Very important to note. Yeah. So the guys who are crying today, we just have an idea. They changed, they made a limit of $500 as the max you can carry out in Nigeria. So I was trading $5,000 worth of pounds at the time. So now I can only carry $500 of permanent pounds. Right? So I know that my ticket alone was about that $500. It was 493 naira. The ticket when Nigeria always was yes. And before they changed the dollar. So I was stuck and I said, you know what? Now this money I want to buy is 20% of the value is in sterling or dollars. Yeah. And I can't legally carry money out. What do I do? And somebody came up at home. My mom was stranded because of the same problem. Oh, all moms, not just their mom. Yeah. So you go to my mom trying to do. So trying to sell a bold. Because what the first thing you notice when an economy crashes, women sell the jewelry. I don't know how it's ingrained in all the women. They start selling the jewelry. Wow. So my mom is looking to sell a bowl of jewelry. And I hear this, I talk to some of my friends. Their moms also are selling the jewelry. I remember whenever I traveled to Haddon Gardens, there's a signboard where you buy jewelry. I said, okay. Philippines, corrects, every time I buy you. So told them, I'll buy a bowl. Wow. Other bones, neighbors' bones. So at that point in time, I was being flooded in these doors. Because I have cash. I had my cash, but my cash wasn't available as valuable in sterling or dollars, but the people see there's always a lag time. When someone buys something for 10,000 naira, even when the value goes to 50,000, the person still thinks of it as 10,000 naira. So the way to sell the bull for the 10,000 or the $2, they hadn't yet understood that the value was now 5 times more. Yes. So I bought jewelry at its old price.
By this time, that's still 14, 13,
14 back to swap to now. So I started buying the jewelry all over the place. And I then traveled on the first time jewelry, and I got there at the airport, checking for targets, because they're checking everyone for dollars, because the deal was that the customs guys would take, if they found dollars on you, either you surrender they would seize the money, or they cut a deal with you, take half the money, and you take half. Or you go to jail, you choose. So that, straight after that history, Fela went to jail for this. They arrested Fela with more than $500, go to jail. But what we used to do is put the money in our shoes, right? Or tie it around here. Cash. Not drugs, not any illegal thing. Cash. Just do it. It's just do the legitimate business. So I carry this jewelry. I do now searching. They're not finding money. They're finding jewelry. Why do I carry jewelry? Why do I carry jewelry? Is that a count of a carrying jewelry? Is that, so why am I carrying just, my mom said she due to persistent.
Maybe it's because of you that they added that jewelry part to all.
So I traveled it. Wasn't diamonds.
It was,
I changed the jewelry and bought like 5 times the best. So I now bought, even though the currency was devalued, I achieved 1-to-1 first time, but then some of the jewelry was fake. So the guys in Hatton Gardens gave me a measuring, a scale, the agents to test fold. I bought everything from them, and for 14 karat, 9 karat, and 2 karat, 18 karat, I could test it on my own. So I came back, started testing, had a center in my small face, and test fold, buy, pay cash, travel. So I continued the thing through. Then people started to get, after some time, people started the value changes, but after some time, it's not immediate. So that right now, when they increased the value of iron, people still were selling their old stock at the old price. A lot because they didn't know they couldn't replace it. So that's really, really changed my game. Yeah,
that's an interesting story. And what fascinates me is the mindset. What is responsible for this mindset? Like, is it because you're born to look up goblet opera? Yes. And most time at that time they emphasized job security. In fact, that's why your dad didn't want you to work or embarrass, and he thought you were entrepreneurship embarrass you. Like, Capsum, we want to refuse this mindset.
To be honest with you, it's because of what I experienced in my life story. I'm convinced that enterprise, I think they still comes from how God makes some people so diligent that they are great in accountancy. Makes some people so passionate about healing people or the great nurses, and make some people enterprise people. It doesn't mean that non-enterprise people cannot do business. Anyone can do business, but there's a difference between a business person, a typical business person, and an enterprise person. Because an enterprise person doesn't talk to the money. You see, the money is a out of order. You just have that thing there. You see, you cannot break my spirit. I can lose everything, and I'm happy to go back to this one. Can't break my spirit, because my spirit is not based on money. My spirit is based on achieving what I want to achieve, and I'm a thing. My sister calls me an eternal optimist. That's the word. I take it.
Oh, you are.
So, and that doesn't mean you don't fail. Yes, I've lost a lot of it. But I don't think about it. The minute it's just, I don't skip a second. In that downside, no, not a second.
Wow. That was a story you told me. You were doing big business in Kaduna, okay? Suddenly change your regime, you had to move. So should I ask, how did you get into, I think was it Kodak or Canon, or how did you get into the photography business? Chemical engineer?
You see, at the time, I said there were 3 tsunamis.
Yes.
The second tsunami was what made me say I have to start small businesses, service businesses, not just products. The second tsunami was when Babangida took over. He had a so-called meeting with everybody about IMF, long stories. And they devalued the currency again from 5 naira to dollar, which we're still struggling at. They made it 22 naira to dollar, which is 400%, 400%. And people were already at the wit's end. And that's where
Everybody ever asked that there was this one basis.
you know, at the time, now in as an adult person in business, I do know that the multilateral agencies which were advising the government, the IMFs, the World Bank, and I do know the real motive. I do know the motive, but I do know that they ill-advised the government. Yeah. In today's understanding, I do know that most of the data they work with is faulty. Yeah. So perhaps the advice is good, but based on false data or not accurate data. So it fails each time. So all these experiments are failed. Yeah, in fact, when I fail, I have to be. So yeah, if though my money again, I have now at the bank, a lot of money. Well, again, and this money is 5 times less value. And so I say, you know what? I'm not going to venture this way. Well, while I'm chasing business, let me open something that earns money so I can spend from what I'm earning without working for it. James, and like passive money. And in university, because I'm like here. Well, there was 2 major businesses that opened in Yaba. One of them was Choices. There's a men's salon. They took over Lagos. It just exploded on the scene in Yaba. When I was a customer there, and then I photographed company called Notax. Otai was a friend of ours. He opened a photography studio in Yaba as well, and they were almost next door, and they exploded. And then a lady called Marilyn, whose husband is, they own Mega Plaza. The Mega Plaza people? Yeah. They're the third inspiration for the businesses we opened at Saduma. They had a video club called Mega Movies in Pedro Palace, which they later now used and created that huge edifice which called Mega Plaza, made up later. But most people know them from Mega Movies. And so we used to supply them movies. Nice travel. So started supplying them with the studies and things. So we became people who are doing business with them. And in Kaduna, we put a video club, opened a salon. Salon was Clipper Salon. And it exploded. Did great business. We made the money back at Clipper Salon. We spent 89,000 in total. The made up money 2 months. Wow. 2 months. Were flooded by people. Because it was the first time, and most of that part of Nigeria, there was no modern salon. So we just ate them alive. It wasn't as if it wasn't a genius thing. It was just hey, I see this in Lagos. I'm doing it somewhere else. So it wasn't a genius thing. The video club, seen it in Lagos, seen how it works. You know that people haven't seen it that way. Bring it there. Boom. So it wasn't like we were geniuses. Yeah, you were fast and about just seeing opportunities, and putting out and it went crazy. So we're making a lot of money from these things. Also, there's a bigger business which was there, which is the titles. Photocopying was not. We couldn't scan documents because all documents were copied. So I was in London, and it was still a lot. I wouldn't, and we tried to see how I can got into Xerox in the UK. Found that Xerox was trading in copiers from people, and when we trade them in, they essentially throw the copiers away. The other ones, because they're too heavy and too expensive to move around. So there's a guy called John Smith in Birmingham, Solihull, Birmingham, at Xerox staff. So he would come with this truck and just take them away, which is to essentially dispose of that. They carried them to Solihull, his warehouse, where he had hundreds and hundreds of copiers, and was supplying them to India and to Pakistan and other third world countries. They had them cleaned up, packaged, and supplied them at almost full price. So that means there I said, you know what? I want to take on these copiers in Nigeria. Yeah. Because you know what? There's nothing for someone in Africa. See on the dupes of Chris. This one and this one are best of these. Take one of each. Don't did it. See how we do to Kabatu. This way about up it them in about that big the daily year. So I cobbled them out to Kano, because Kano is the airport that we use for international. And I sold those copiers for £1,000 something each at the time, which is like millions of naira today. I said, what? This thing costs me on 150. Yeah. Saves $1,000 times. 10 times more. Yeah. He said, gold? So I don't buy it. No, try it. But like, what is that money, right? I don't know, you bought it 20. So we started importing Xerox copiers. And started all the engineers at Xerox Nigeria, Northern Nigeria, became our engineers. And we were selling across Northern Nigeria. I started getting agents to start selling copy. So that was our biggest business. Beyond someone was Charles D. Studio was Charles D. The rookie is out. Xerox was the business. So we're doing copiers in the hundreds of thousands of pounds in that time. So, and then as we were doing that, I went to visit a lecturer in the Kaduna Polytechnic. And I saw like 500 students fighting to get copies done with those small, tiny corner copier doing the message. Excuse me? What the hell is this? I said, can I get space there? See, why can I for you got some small body paper space, open the copy center, brought in the machines from our warehouse, landed them there to cover the market. There are people working 24 hours a day. It's the biggest copy center in this country at the time. Wow. And when the ironic of the time, but they got wind of this, and they needed people to come and copy all the for the elections at MK's election of 93. So we were contracted by INEC, or the INEC of today, to bring in our copiers to copy all the voters' cards, all these millions of them. So our teams worked 10 days, 24 hours in about 10 days. All the machines were brought to INEC headquarters. We did all the copying there. My team was there for 10 days, copied millions of copies. And then they paid us. And at the time they paid us the money, the no big looks that they have now. So as our first time training, Ghana must go globally. I couldn't understand it. Ghana must go up look in 50s. Ghana must go of money, which is full to the brim. You understand? Had to take it to the bank, had to get policemen and Ghana be so my copy. So that was great. But then you asked a question, said, what makes us look at different opportunities? Now,
We'll go to the third tsunami after.
Yeah, that when you see the way, if you're an enterprise person,
Yes.
you will notice how awash Nigeria is with opportunity. It was a wash when I was a kid, 11. It was a wash at 13. It's a wash today, a wash at 20-something. So someone like he looks at people who are selling their property to go to Canada or Japan or something, or to go to Australia or go to India. When Nigeria is awash, go to opportunity. I mean, it's it never gets better. It beats my sorry. It beats my imagination. The opportunities today, in the midst of all this crisis that people are crying about, this is the time to invest in Nigeria. This is the time. So I just couldn't, even the ones I was doing, as many as they were, I couldn't do enough. Because but in the middle of that time, when they had third tsunami, second tsunami, Ibadan didn't have, Kaduna people didn't wear the kind of fashion that Southerners were wearing. So I couldn't do fashion in Kaduna. But and I couldn't do the gold because gold had your head. Yeah? So what did I do? Ginger. There was ginger all over Kachia, all over Sabakavila. And people were looking for ginger around the world. But we couldn't get the level of the dryness. So the moisture was too high in what we were getting. So I couldn't put my money deeply in there. The supply chain wasn't good enough. But there were people doing ginger in the truckers, even back then. Look, Nigeria is the most blessed place on this planet. I've gone ahead and turned IBD away. This is what so I see opportunities and I couldn't. So when I finished my tutorial saying he's doing me a job, his friend is the MD of Chevron. He's got to be a job in Chevron. I should go on all there.
Yeah, sorry, okay, at that time, was it before the Pente contract?
Yes, it was before that. When he finished school. Okay, it was like he had gotten me a job. And I said, excuse me as well. They don't even know that. I said, no, he made a mistake. I'm not looking for a job. I'm not going to work for anybody in this lifetime. So he said, but I'm supposed to work first, gain industry experience, and then come back and book my business in what I'm tired. I said, that's not my life. I want to do business now.
Yeah.
I don't mind sleeping on the couch. But that couch is my couch. And do business. He was broken-hearted. And later he helped him watch the time Bugatti party. He woke up to the youth to become literally sculpting. Amazing. So that story of how you moved from Can you were doing a business there, I think film. You had a big warehouse in Can. Yeah, we're bringing in copiers. Yeah, the trumped and the chopping if you do not go I lived. Like I said, I did the Kaduna. My friends have moved to Kaduna at the time. Yeah. My dad moved to Kaduna. He's a director in what the government agents all. So we had a family house in Kaduna. So that was free house. For some time. Then the Kano, you asked me about the
Also looking into power and that took.
Oh, that was much of it. Was that too much? Yeah, that story. Now, the other tsunami happened first, which was 1998. We were major contractors to the Kaduna refinery. And one day, Abacha woke up in the morning. Had you like the face of the MD of the refinery, who had believed in me, because I didn't notice a lot for an MD of the refinery to believe in a 20-something-year-old engineer. So, the president, were given a lot of contracts to solve their industrial water problems, and like contracted an international company as a partner, and we were doing that all over, fixing Kaduna refineries, cooling towers, and so they sacked the LG, who believed in our company, and bringing another person who wanted his own guys to do the work. So our files got missing. Ascension of the not find our files. And so I had to decide that, hey, you know what? This being businesses are going to crash. I mean, collapse what I do. So I have some money with me. So you know what do I expand among their businesses? Xerox is crazy good, but computer systems are improved. Fax messages are coming. Scanning are coming. There's no longer money in copying. I saw that coming. So I didn't want to expand or copy. The salon business is great, but there's a maximum amount that I can stand. In the photography business, a person can spend 1,000 times what the person in Gucci can do. One person come in and buy stuff for his entire family. So I said, I'm going to expand the photography business. So in 1998, I took the decision. I found a big place. I opened a huge flagship store in the middle of Kaduna. Boom. We had our money in 90 days. All the money we spent in 90 days. But I'll go forward from there.
Yeah.
Next night, I go to visit Kano for a fashion show, get a large français. my team who was around with me says we make opening Kano has the potential. So we got a place on Beirut Road. We opened the transit 10 days later. And Kano became one of our most ambitious but profitable ventures. So then in Kano now, this year, this is 26 years of Kano. Wow, this year, precision, that's 6 years. Unblemished, but in Kano. I go to Abuja because we were invited to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. We're official photographers from the government because of our relationship with Kodak. We're there Kodak in the fair in Germany, and likewise. And I agreed with Kodak to represent it in Nigeria. Kodak had extensive principles and brought us into government related imaging and the cover this event. Actually, we have my team says to be MD. We have to open a long trap. Oh, some depressed space. Find someone on the drive opposite the Hilton, which is the filling station, was African Petroleum Filling Station. Around the space that was there, it was formerly owned by this Kolika team, Kolika Josephine Kalashkaya. She had the shop there, and she closed it down for whatever reason, and we granted. So she was leaving, we were coming, and when we paid for it in 2022, which was over in Abuja, this is our 23rd year of Abuja.
Wow.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, 2002, sorry. 2002 or 2002. So we opened the store. 2023 was 3 fantastic years. Our first try in Abuja. But match it forward, Obasanjo is in power at that time already. And there's some fallout between Atiku and Obasanjo or whatever. African Petroleum, which was the Lambo, AP is now sold to Fort Oil. Yes. And when they sell it to Fort Oil, a new management comes into play. They fire all the guys who are our landlords, if you will, who are our people. Yeah. And the new guy says, no, everyone should pop up, should leave the station. And we didn't have anywhere to go. By this time, analog photography had started to diminish. Digital was coming in power at full swing. Because of digital, our Kaduna operations, our labs and everything had collapsed. So we had lost a lot of money. And so being told to look for space in Abuja time, we couldn't afford it. We just couldn't afford it because that was the wrong time. Okay. And so next thing I know, wake up one morning, they come and they padlocked the entire place. Like I said, I tell you something earlier. In Nigeria, if you're big on it, the powerful was Stanley. So this guy's padlocked our stores. So I call a lawyer and said, look, see what's going on. I said, are you crazy, Chris? I said, I don't say, someone padlocked your store. Are you a criminal? I said, no. Are you there? Are you a trespasser? I said, no. I said, break that padlock immediately. I said, but they keep me caught up with lawyer and bits. So are you an illiterate? Are you an illiterate? I said, no. Break that padlock immediately. And we broke it. And they came with other, with a court that, hey, we're not here as trespassers. We're here officially. We have a tendency to read that. We are not criminals. If you want to get us out, you'd serve us a notice and we follow due process. Well, when they saw that we knew what we were talking about, everyone backed up. So I learned a lesson about property. We're not in property. That's yeah. I learned a lesson on property. You know what? Because I go to market stores, you see landlords packing up, breaking the shop of the tenant. All kinds of things. But what if they're doing this? Is there any, have they followed any kind of due process? Is there any notice? If those are not served, then you don't really have the right to do this in the So, why then the routine? That's cool. Okay. They not keep back official because they had it, outside just notices everybody to feed today's. So I worked with my manager, a lady called Odisa Sepati Odisa. She's a South African. South African manager of Battle Bay. And we see this bank, NUB. Big bank, NUB, NUB has been taken over by Finbank. So Finbank was across the street. So NUB was closing and back at the Finbank. Finbank. So the bank's building was empty. And Sepa says, MD, why don't we take this building? I look at this chance. He says, yes. We'll just take it back. I said, how? How do we take it back? I said, MD, it's a building, you can take it back, you can take the knock and put our business in the back in the building. Let's try it. I said, you know what? Let's do it. You go, meet the bank people, say, good. How long is your day start? If they have 90 days left, which is this amount of money, should I say for me? So they gave us property. But the landlord didn't want to have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Well, he says, at the time, because Nigeria is evolving, we might not got it, we're evolving. But in 2006, Nigeria, the bank is leaving a building, and a photographer wants to come and take. Are you crazy? You know, at the time, the whole idea of the anybody said so was, yeah, what the heck are you talking about? So we spoke to landlord's people and convinced them to give us the property. That's okay. What you have to do, you're not going to change over the bank.
Yeah.
You're going to start a fresh tenancy, and this is the money we have to pay for 2 years in advance. And the money wasn't there. But I jumped in with faith. Said, you know what? Okay. These are 2 checks. First check is for 1 month. Second check is for the 7th month. For first deal, for a 3-year debt is, for example, it was February. I say this first check for a year.
Okay.
You pay cash it at the end of March.
Yes.
The second one, cash at the end of whatever.
Yeah.
But your fees, the fees of the agent, I pay that. So that way the agent knows that you were still really locked the year. So even if you reduce 25% fees, get the fees up. And then your core work is to find the money. Go and find the money. So you say yes first, and go and find the money, simple. And so I started looking for the money. And I'll go, this is the interesting part. I go to, I'm already having, because of the downturn in the business, meant that I was in trauma. And I needed to get my head right, spiritually. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go for deliverance. I'm going to go for prayers. That anyone ask God to come into the situation, because this is not, I can't handle this myself.
Yeah.
Because imagine a business where the mainstay of the business, the failure of the person, has collapsed with a loss of 150 jobs. You had sack, let the fire on into. We had to retrench 100 to keep it free. Then, so I go to this multi-hyphenate. I'm gonna cut. Could I say on bills will make you go out. I had to go. What kind of prayer I want? Wow. I'm not saying this to I'm not trying to sell any church or any denomination. But just telling you, at that time, that was a bright spirit. And I go there and I see this. They didn't have a building. We would say Utako was not a building. It was thatched leaves. They were outside. Everyone was outside, praying outside. There was no building. They had land but no building. So I was like, and then I'm going from the Catholic Church where I have a huge seminary and everything. I'm here under thieves and everything you can do. It's all right.
Something brought me here. So
the guy says, you know what? I told him my stories. And he says, you know what? We're going to have a joint fast. Him and myself will have a back-on-back fasting period. And we had that fasting period for, he said, 30 days straight. 2 of us will break together. He would fast with me. So it's a hand-loaded fast.
Wow.
And
did you know this person?
Never. I met him at the church. I told my story, and he was Ebenezer was his name. He was so engrossed in that story. Yeah. And I previously had an experience with the Pastor Robert in Kaduna, who had also come his story. So we're both having this Pastor Robert in Kaduna, and this evangelist Robert, right? He's not a pastor, at this chap in Edoza and House of Fire. So we're both having this back to back daily prayer, and at the end tail of it, because these are really shaping up, and we have me yesterday. Begin to go and choose yourself a ministry. I said, I don't understand. What did my ministry go? So I was thinking in terms of government ministry, and I was like, I choose a ministry But God is telling him to tell me to choose a ministry. Yeah. And support a ministry and tell God, do a deal with God. The deal you do with God is you tell God that even this ministry you're choosing, if He chooses to bless you again, because you've lost money, you're not coming from a place of from zero to up. You're coming from up, down, build up, but you return to glory, you return to those riches and those signs tied to ministry of your choosing. And if you're faithful to that ministry, God will not bless you for you. He's going to bless you for that ministry which you chose. He's going to use you as a point of contact for that ministry. It was heavy. It's okay. See, don't tell me the ministry. He told me, don't tell me. I don't want to know. It's not my business. Yeah, it's in you and your car. So choose my ministry that day. It's okay. You choose the ministry, so go and do something for your ministry. I'll come back to me. So I go and do something for the ministry I chose. Check out. Yeah. When I come back, she's looking at wait and see what's the this. So I go back to the lady who's in charge of the property. She weighs her name for Medu. She's my sister. Small. I said, Chinwe, I need to take some architects by faith, right? To see the property. I started doing designs because I've been told to work by faith. But I'll go and do designs as if I have the money to build. I go there. She gives me the keys. I go there. She says, go ahead, look at when I finish, bring the keys back to my office. So I carry an architect. I build her, doing all the designs, doing how it's going to be. And then the car stops. Taxi stops. And the guy comes down. Zims Uzubi. Oh, to that. I said, there. He's afraid today. I met him that other place. He says to me, sorry, are you trying to do this property? I said, yes. So what is it going to be used for? I said, it's a studio, photography studio. We're moving our studios from Dave to yeah. So great. Not of upstairs. So it's a studio, the whole place. So he calls me to the side, says, sir, can't you give up upstairs and then use the downstairs for a studio? So it's possible. So what will it cost? So the amount the deal was going for at the time was $5 million a year. This is what checks up day. So I told the guy, upstairs is $5 million times 2. That's $10 million. I just threw it out there. And he went to meet the guy in the car. They discussed. They came down, looked at him. I got to the boot. They brought down a sack of $5 million in cash. They carrying cash around the feet of up to. I told me to receive this family and I come with them to FCMB in the central area for the balance, which I can either take as a draft for cash. So imagine me leaving church in the morning, going to choose my ministry after a fast, going to support the ministry, going to a building where I didn't have a set to pay at that time. I made below the money for the cost of us. So now I was stranded in the middle of the river, and this guy comes and gives me 10 million naira in cash that very day. 10 million naira, which was mine. This was a lot in the money of 2006. 100,000. I made 10 million naira plus fees of 2 million or 12. That's $100,000 almost to fill up. So that's today. 160 million naira. Why should pay tax situation? So busy on my name. So I go open my cooks. This is something. And we take the money, give them upstairs, and let's walk to my sister who's the agent. I say, sis, what's those chairs I give you? What did they hear? I said, I just had a chair up there. I want a pizza. She didn't know.
Oh my God.
She doesn't till today. She doesn't know how that.
I hope you find this.
Well, thank you. So I give it. I pay the money, and I go out to the building, praying and thanking God for it. And then someone else comes, a lady, says, "Hi, are you Mr. Priest that has this? I'm now at ice cream shop downstairs here in the garage. What would it cost me?" So that went plan to do it up, but if you wanted that, I had 2 perfect million times 2. I'm up on these. So let me check. I find them there. But I say, excuse me? What's down here? I got the money to pay for the road. It is now got the money to work on the building in 24 hours. So that's a modern day miracle. But you get in up there. What? The chalet, the beach. Someone calls the girl. He says, "Hi, we see the workers at work here. We'd like to teach you. What will you cost us?" Let's do it out there. 3.5 days. You see, you know what? We're coming from a place where they threw us out. Want to pay for 3 years off on the cash. Excuse me? Took up a us. And they paying 12 million there for 3 years plus fees. And that's about $100,000, almost $90,000 all in 3 days of obeying what I was told to do. And that opened my eyes to the opportunities that, hey, you know what? There are lots of people who need spaces but can't take the load of a whole building. They want smaller spaces. They haven't got the time or the energy to stress landlords at the start. They haven't got the time. So what they want is a small place. They pay you, they operate. Retail space. So that opened a whole new vista of opportunity for us.
So another person looking at you think you just do business the natural way. So not knowing that you have some spiritual infrastructure.
The only be anybody who's doing business without understanding the spirit, right? Any person doing that is like just on a very light stream, that will snap at any point in time. The person is just wasting stuff. It's just floating. You cannot float, especially in Africa, especially in Nigeria. We have a very negatively spiritually charged America. Very deeply negatively spiritual charged. So you cannot afford to be floating. You have to be anchored somewhere. If you choose to be anchored in the wrong places, that's your choice. But you must be anchored somewhere. And I choose to anchor the middle.
There was one other one you told me similar to this. Your money was locked in about $1 million from the closure of the refinery. Is this something you want to share? Is something you put?
They can take attack.
Yes.
Yeah. This was, so when the electricity MD was fired, at the time, Naira was officially 22 to 1. And NNPC, they threw me from my car. They said they threw me from my car.
We said.
So, this is 2005. 2005. Before the next adventure, 2005, I'm going from a job top steel, because we're going to pose them to treat their power plants. I'm going from there and I get attacked by armed robbers. Headsmen. What do you call headsmen today? I saw them that time. They were all like headsmen. They were armed. They attacked us, robbed us.
What?
And the uncanny thing about that robbery was my ex-wife at the time, I bought her a Cartier time watch. And the Cartier watch, one day at home, I looked at her wrist and she didn't have the watch. So I asked her, "Where's the watch? Where's the watch? What's your present? Where is it? Cost a lot of money." So she sold it. I said, "Rewind. You what? You sold the watch I bought for you." She said, "No, I didn't sell it. I sold it." I said, "You sold it where?" "In a church." There's something she's looking for in blood. They told them so things that are close to them. She got, "Hell no. You cannot sell that watch. Call your pastor. I will pay the amount they intend to sell them watch for." Because normally if they do so things, they'll sell them to realize value to use for the project only as well. I said, "Tell your pastor. whatever the price is they would have sold the watch for, I will pay that price. She said, no, she cannot. I said, please, God. She said, she cannot do that. That's against God's will. But he's been sold that forget it. I was crazy upset. Because that time I was a one enthusiast, yeah. So I had a very, very, very interesting watch, a Quorum, Admiral's Cup. My own that I was always like, here's my own. So armed robbers attacked us, the Koja Road. After they stripped us naked, boxers, my judge and myself, robbed us, and then left us on the street. And while we were on the street, then they did the car. They blocked the road. It's a long story, but they blocked the road and no one came to our rescue. So when they had all gone, one of them ran back and I said, I'm dead. When they were coming to shoot us, he ran back and yanked my watch off my hands. Because somehow the glimmer of the watch or the chain. So he grabbed the watch up and ran off to drain his heat. So we dressed up what we could, got home that night, very down midnight. And my ex-wife told me, after all the wailing and all that, she says, look, Chris, where is your watch? I said, sorry? I said, where's your watch? Who is that great watch of yours? I look at her. I said, you know what? I didn't tell her. I said, on Sunday, I'm going to give a testimony in church on this very story. So I go to church and we'll go to house from the rock, Pastor Obi, and I tell this testimony of how I was lambasting my ex-wife over sewing her watch to church. And I lost marriage, which was multiple the value to armed robbers. The film came and just for that to make a statement. So when I hear that story, someone in the church, his name is Dandison Kumbo. So, because he doesn't even know the story, he does a bit of it, but doesn't know the story. So he comes here because I tell them what I was doing in Najabuta, and a chemical engineer. I was there to treat the water treatment, blah blah blah. Work for NNPC, go. So he comes looking for me. So I go to Kaduna. A staff of ours, Grace, she's late back, tells me about an evangelist in her church, Robert Ada, who had been asking her to meet whoever my boss was. He's in a bit of danger. I would like to meet him. He probably won't be. He said it before the robbery, but didn't get to see me until after the robbery, and I want to see her. And when I saw him, he told me, I met him in the bathroom slippers, looking very scruffy, but saying he's an evangelist. I said, okay, cool. Every time I work at the evangelist, cool, let me hear. So he says, we pray. I said, sure. And he says, let's go to the mountain top. This mountain is near to the refinery, Kujama Supe. I said, sure, let's go there. We go up to this mountain. And we start. He prays the heart down. And he's praying in one kind of voice. I had to open my eyes and look over. In my sense, he's in the same person. And this guy's praying the house down. And I'm scared to death because I look around and I said, maybe there's something going to happen here. He finishes his prayer. I asked him what he said. I told him what he said. Robert said. And he says, God has told him to tell you something. That God says that I don't yet trust that he's the one thing in the story. Wow. So I should choose anything in my mind that I want God to do for me in 24 hours. In 24 hours, that anything I think in my mind I want God to do in 24 hours to show me that he is God, I should choose in my mind. It is in Kaduna. I choose something in my mind. I don't tell him a word. I don't tell anyone a word. I choose something. What do I choose? I choose the impossible. I said, okay, let God, since God is in this place, that my money in the ABC, let it come out in 24 hours. This is life. I'm not saying somebody someone told me. Yeah. So I go up to Kaduna from that mountain. And the guy who was in church, his name is Dandison Okumbo. Yeah. He's alive. I asked for him. Let's say Dandison Okumbo. Dandison Okumbo. His brother is Hosea. Shout out to Dandison Okumbo. Captain Hosea Okumbo is his brother. His late Captain Hosea. Hey, God rest his soul. God rest his soul. So Dandison comes to my office looking for me. He says, You know the name Mr. Chris? I know you from church. Like you gave a testimony in church about how you're an engineer and things happen to you, blah, 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 blah. But is there anything I want to do in the Kaduna refinery? I said, why do you ask? I said, because his brother, Katuhosa, has a friend who is Mr. Vinat Dokoro, who had become the MD of the refinery, and had asked if there's any person they know that's an engineer or something that has an idea to share with the refiner. I said, I have more than an idea. Money there. I don't need to do hidden. Since the last MD took office, they hid my files. So he says, let's go and see Captain. This is within 24 hours. It's the same day I left the mountain in the morning. He went back to Abuja, and in the afternoon, he was looking for me everywhere. He had come to Ops like 4 times. They couldn't give him my number, so he came back. When I got to see him and we went to see his brother, God asked me to relay the story. I told him how I was in the refinery. This will happen to us. Have all my taxi in the Dan Heights. So he calls the MD of the refinery. And that one says, the MD says, I should be at the gate of the refinery by 8 a.m. tomorrow, the following day. In Abuja. I was in Abuja. But I should come with Danisa at 8 o'clock to Kaduna. So he gave us a note to the MD. And so Danson and I did at 6 o'clock in the morning. Get to the refinery gate at 7:30. The road was good that time. 7:30 at the gate. Tell him, well, let's see the MD. MD says we should come in. Go to the MD's office. Big office, huge office. He says, okay, tell me the story. I tell him the story. So okay, hold on here. He sends for the executive director of operations and the executive director of services to come. And both of them happen to know me because we were working at the highest levels of the refineries. So Judah is back. Yes, it's mobile. It's Honora Baptist. So where is his file? They're looking at each other. He says, I want his file in 10 minutes. COVID limit is cut this file in 10 minutes. And they go and produce the file. After producing the file, he puts the file and says, show me things. The file was there. You understand how the files are. The file is there.
Until maybe they were waiting for handshakes. I don't
know. Until the right person tells you to put the file. You are being applied. They bought the file. 1998 file. 2005. That by which time, of course, was 22-1. Currency had been developed. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Some of the payment not a problem. He said, go downstairs and have breakfast. Danielson and myself went to have breakfast downstairs in the canteen. When we came out upstairs from the restaurant, in the breakfast restaurant, a banker's draft of the money was on the table. He said, that's some money. I went on my knees in tears. And they couldn't understand why I was in tears. I said, no, it's not the money. So much though I didn't know was in this conversation has just shown me he's not only in the conversation, but he's guiding the entire game. In less than 24, I said, Pastor says, ask the Lord for something to yourself. Don't tell me. And I told God that you want my money from this refinery. Because I was broke. Because I collapsed. And this money was there hanging from 1998. And I'd gone there 1,000 times. I'd sent lawyers, I'd sent everybody to go and talk, go and write letters, go and this. I'd gone to NLDC headquarters in Abuja. I'd gone to see the OPEXCOM, the OMESCOM, all the big boss and NLDC. I'd gone to see them. No one can find my fire. The MD of the refinery was there. I won't mention his name because that would look like I'm trying to. And he was there messing around. And they couldn't tell my bad. The EDO, everyone knows me. They didn't put my card. If I didn't go to the refinery in that 7 years, I went 100 times. They couldn't find my file. But that morning, my file came out in 2005 with Danny Simokubo from Bozer's note to Captain to Vinkat Rukoro, MD. My money was paid that same morning. Trade flaws. So I picked up the job. So that thank God, all the I will not touch it. When I saw the money in my account, I couldn't touch it. I couldn't touch it. I was just totally couldn't understand at all. So that's the message to any youth, that if you are trying to do your thing with your own strength and power, right? Trust me, who's lost billions, who's lost a lot of money, who has made a lot of money back as well. Trust me that God is the equation and God is not far. God is not in heaven though. Please, anyone that tells me God is in heaven, I said, God is right here. God is right here. And one of the things that I learned from was that since if you choose a ministry, it makes it difficult for you to be ostentatious. Because you know that your ministry is suffering. So you can't really just say on the Bible, but
that's why with all your properties in different parts of Africa, you still driving that sedan. I'm gonna call you out. And see, when you see me, that's it. I'm like, oh my God, I have an idea what you wait. Like, get it the car.
This is about when you understand a few things and you become a custodian. Because I'm a custodian. I'm not the owner of my business. I'm just put in that place for now. My business belongs to God. I'm not
more spiritual than I thought, but I love it.
And it's bigger than church.
Yeah.
Don't get lost in church. Church is wonderful, but don't get lost in church. Get lost in the fear of God. God Himself. That's where you're going. Any route you use, ultimately, God is only one. And God is love. So if you have that love intact, you have your love intact. If you're going to a church or mom's school or anywhere you're going there for fellowship and communion. But the journey with God is individual and personal. Well, and it is one-on-one, and God is here. God is not far.
And is it? He's one directing
everything
with life.
Everything. If you take away your own protection, because His protection is around. If you take away your own protection, if you're spiritually if you understand things, you know when you weaken your immunity. You know, no one has to tell you, and all you have to do is wrap it up. And when you wrap it up, go to God in prayer and forgiveness. And you see it. I've been a miracle life.
So that's why you're not giving ostentatious. There's nobody you do have a nice restaurant.
Do you know the funny thing?
Yeah.
Because everyone says, "What?" My friends will tell me, you watch it. You live to watch. It's watch. I went into a store opposite is this TBS? Was this big mall? Should they have a small mall in TBS? I go into this shop. I'm actually looking for a belt because something happened to my daughter one night of booty. And in the store, they had these beautiful watches. And I ask, how much is this watch? They say it's $70. I said, excuse me. I said, send us. What is watch? I said, it's like $1,000. It's built on the look of a particular watch, which is this price, but this is $70, which would be $90K or $100K. I buy it. I put it on. When a person who you believe can afford a certain thing, where is it? Even if it's big, is it? Wow. You understand?
Yeah.
It's a certain person wears something. You say, no, that one is a new, we ain't shoes. Hey, it's it's lovely, but it costs $70. I'm not spending my money, right? And money that God brings my way to buy $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 watch. I've worn that before. I wore a $20,000 watch. But I didn't even have the money. I didn't have the kind of money that should, like the person that's wearing a $20,000 watch should have. It was more that all those things which are important. I would never do that again. I work hard. I know my ministry. I know the people who I represent. I know the downtrodden very well. I know them very well. I know they're being oppressed heavily. I'm working my hardest. left to me, without a doubt, I would drop my company in a heartbeat. If I had the right team assembled already, I'm trying to get that. I would let them run the crop and focus fully on helping to empower and to rescue MSMEs who are in trouble. It's very it takes a lot of back and forth with the powers that be. You cannot fight if you want to really get the powers that be to listen properly to something. You don't go in fighting. See, when you go in fighting, the messenger step behind, and the focus becomes the messenger.
And the medium.
And that's it. So you have to look at, hey, the people who can make a difference. How do you get their attention without insulting them, without belittling them, without making them feel make an anti-message, or how to get their attention? And there's a book everyone should read. I learned the stuff like how to make friends and influence people. They're kind of that book. I read it now to all feel. I said, okay, that's why I put things that, hey, the messenger must not become so much of a problem that the messenger blows escape. It's
man, you see, did I disappoint? Did he disappoint? There has to be a part 2, right? There has to be a part 2, right? I'm so grateful. Thank you for your time, bro. I know it's precious. I know you went back memory lane. You may have some goosebumps here and there. I know it's going to inspire a lot of people. So we usually wrap up by you looking at the camera. 2 things. First is to say thank you to some people who have been there. Like those key moments in business, or maybe in life generally. You've mentioned a lot of it. I love that you mentioned the main guy and gave them their flowers, right? Who are those people that in a quick minute, or 2, all the names, people that you remember. So in pivotal moments, right, that were there for you. So just look into that camera and just say hi, thank you, so thank you this. As many as you can remember. I know it's not
the person that made all this possible, to the entity that made all this possible, my God and my creator, because it's all his game. It's all his game. All right? And after him, my mom, because that lady took a bullet for my dad to let me go behind the scenes and do business while I was supposed to be in school. So my mom, absolutely. And all that journey, the next person that stands up immensely will be Chief Paul Obeli. He's late now. From the ED, the Executive Director of Projects at the Kaduna Refinery. He saw a young engineer who knew what he was doing and gave me access to direct to the CEOs and to the HQ of NNPC to give them solutions, and they listened to those solutions and applied them, and they got a success story for it. So I thank them. I had to thank Robin Highcourt of Nalco in the UK. Robin was the person who came from the Nalco to the refineries to also help. They gave him to me free of charge. Nalco paid for him coming. They exploded our business. Thank you to Amabafo in Ghana, my mentor. Thank you to down the road to Sir MNK Terminal, MD Kaduna Refinery. Sir MNK Terminal, yes, to Pastor Robert Ada. He's alive. His church has expanded. We're a Baton Slippers church to huge place. Thank you for what you do. Pastor Ebenezer, thank you for what you've done. Thank you in the studio chain, our late sister Grace, who was the one who stood around the Kano and got us to start expanding and scaling when we didn't flat the scale. It wasn't my idea. These are the people that did it. Thank you my family, my siblings, my brothers, my sister, my 2 sisters. Thank you to the great people, first banking pursuit of Mrs. Winifred Atawodi. No. Winnie Atawodi, she took a bullet for us. Our first ever line of credit, she provided it by using her own, signing with her job for that finance to happen to finance her first NNPC job. She stood her ground and signed the document with her salary, with her job, with her job. These are the key people who made at those points. Fast forward. Yeah, these are the key. There are many others, so many others that don't come to mind immediately. 2 years to the team at Kodak International, Paul Okech, the entire team at Kodak International, the team at Canon as well, Katie Simmons, the Canon UK, Canon Europe, Middle East and Africa, the entire team, thank you. Yeah, these are people who just made a real difference in this life, in this interesting life. Yeah, and many others. So that's Dennis Okobo.
That was hard shells. Thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, to that young Ifeanyi Chris Oputa, please just set him out. And like, man, yes, you had a good debate, you could coach.
I'll say one thing. Yes. My ex-wife, oh my goodness. Our marriage didn't last. Couldn't. But she did what she had to do. She was pivotal for my moving into Abuja. She moved me into Abuja. I didn't want to go to Abuja. I was happy in Kaduna. Like, I'll put my business room there. But she insisted. Put them. So,
nice. Thank you. Thank you for that heartfelt message to all those people. I hope they find it right. Those young Africans who are going through the motions, they are where you were many years ago. Some are optimistic, some are not. What are those nuggets that you want them to apply? Points, salient points you want them to apply in their life that can change the game for them.
The two groups, right? Our group is the Africans, right?
Yes.
The Africans across Africa, besides probably Congo and besides Congo, all of the Africans are having a fantastic day. They don't read. Do you understand? I've been all over Africa. All Africa, they have power. We have low interest rates. We have opportunities galore. They have a currency backed by other governments of other countries. So most Africans are actually having impunity. They don't know yet. The people in trouble are Nigerians. The Africans in trouble are Nigerians. Because in our own society, in our own country, these things we start against the Nigerians. But in that, right in the middle of that chaos and that situation, there are untold, unbridled opportunities. And one of the three things I would say, first of all, I didn't find out this out till like 20 years in business about anchoring myself with koi. Right? But please, I learned it late. I too busy a lot of money. But please, surrender your plans of business, not to your church, not to your go to church by all means, but it's a personal journey with you and your God. Get to know your creator, sit down with the creator in your prayer space. And then choose a group. Tell your creator that if he's going to bless whatever your plans you have, choose a ministry that you will bless when you're blessed. Choose a group of people who are of any type, the blind, the deaf, the widows, the orphans, the sick, the infirm, whoever you want to choose. It's your choice. But choose a niche that you will use your success to bless and keep your word. And see what God will do for the sake of not your sake, the sake of those who he wants to reach through you. He chooses to use it to reach anybody your mate. Once he chooses to use your mate. Okay. Something else very important I wanted to say about Watvh. Another thing is, never ever believe that to become an investor, you have to have money. See, the white man that comes from anywhere, the French people, the Americans that come to your place and see opportunities, they are investors, but they don't have any money. When they see the opportunity, they put together and they go and find a financial partner or a financial agency or whatever you want to find as a finance group that comes in with them to do the investment. So they're not just coming with back money in their hands. No, they're coming to see ideas. So you too, as a business person, you see an idea, we package it, they look for the financial person and partner who's going to come into that day with you. But whenever in Nigeria, because I told you earlier that intellectual property is not protected by the judicial system, proper demand. When you have a financial partner in Nigeria, you need to get very, very good legal advice before you sign any documents. Many have lost their businesses because they trusted the financial part. Okay, so investment. Last thing I'll tell you is you don't have to be good. You don't have to learn any trade or craft that has employable people. I've been all over this world, trust me, and I've seen that in Europe, all the hostels I visited for different things, you go there for a checkup, they're not owned by doctors. Businessmen own the fund hostels. It's only here you see a person say, I'm the chief medical director, I own a hostel. Or if I don't own hostel, the business will own hostels. And they hire doctors. Oh. Nigerians believe it. To own a bakery, you must be a chef or a bakery. No. You don't have to be a chef to own a restaurant. You don't have to be a photographer to own a studio. You don't have to be anything. You just have to be an investor. And then you find people to hire are plenty. You hire them to do their job. Those are the easiest people to find. People looking to do their job in exchange for bait. You hire them and learn how to manage them. And as the thing explodes and wants to scale, you find people to manage the business as it scales. But don't get caught up. But see, I have many people come to me, sir, I want to open a fashion house. I want you to help an business to go to school to learn how to sew. Are you kidding me? Tailors that can sew are the cheapest source of it. I mean, they're so available. Why would you want to learn to sew? So in case the tailor is sick, I cannot stick in and sew. I say, no, Mitchell, that's our mindset. It's got to be truthful. There are tailors available to sew. There are barbers available. I can't learn to barb hair because I'll be salon like crazy. People are there to get hired. So you have to become an enterprise person to bat for. If you're an enterprise person, when you're an enterprise person, you don't give it who. But what you don't have to know about how to make a TV to sell TVs. I mean, for Christ's sake. So that's another thing. The last thing I'll say to help you all is that please break any. See, Nigeria is the only place I know that the people of Nigeria hand over monopolies to people. Oh, I'm not talking about being monopolies. Well, today in Lagos, things are changing a bit. But in 2005, every person selling suya was a husband. How can you say only a husband can sell suya? Do you understand? Every person selling suya in Lagos and Nigeria is a boki. Because it's a monopoly. People thought it's a monopoly. Yeah. Until the Lebanese came, every person selling TVs and electronics in this country was a legal man. Until 2010 or something, when Ifeanyi and all these LD people came, you had to go to another market. As kids, we'd all have to go to another market, my parents, to buy TVs and things. Oh, no, they were a monopoly. Why should the Igbo man be the have a monopoly? Why? Everyone can do it.
Why should the Hausa one have a monopoly of suya? Why should Yoruba have a monopoly?
Like that. So going into that place where you think there's a mom, and you see right now in Kano, I'm telling you right now, GSM village in Kano is Hausa people. Ready? Go to Beirut Road and see. Those Kano people are very enterprising. They're looking like other cities. You have to go there and see everyone's what tribe. What nonsense. Break those monopolies. There's business there. Now all the big streets are Lebanese guys selling TVs. I have not gone to buy anything outside of those stores that are owned by Lebanese. But Nigerians have refused to go into that line of business. They were only the Igbo guys and the Lebanese guys. But everyone else watches. It's a monopoly. How could that happen? So Nigerians are even in Kaduna, every single driver, taxi driver at that time, was not only a Yoruba man, but from a certain part of Yoruba land. And they all had taxes on credit from the same group. So to me, it's like, how do people just surrender monopolies to tracks? It's crazy. So when we broke the monopoly in the salon business in Kaduna, because the entire salons on one street were all owned by elderly, lovely Yoruba men who had their papers and they owned the business. No, he broke into the business. He said, no, it's going to fail because there's that street in Ibadan street or something that everyone is a barber. That's it. I mean, so you can smoke everyone. Smoke everyone. Don't be fooled by any Goliaths. They're not Goliaths, so the Goliaths are your break. Right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. What he said last reminded me of what Bishop Oyedepo said. He said, every man's mountain is his ignorance. There are no cities. Every man's city is his ignorance. There are no Goliaths anyway. A Goliath is that ignorance. And guess what? You know that YouTube is there to learn. Incremental augmentation. You are learning on the job, especially if you're on a passion for that. You said too many things. I really hope that you watching this, watch this over and over again. It's not something you watch once, right? You watch it once, you digest, you go through some part of it. You watch again, you digest, you go do some part, So watch over and over again until the principles he has laid out becomes like part and parcel of your decision-making process. Thank you, Mr. Ifeanyi.
Thank you
for coming here, pouring out your heart. And, this is him in real life. Like, this is him. He shared some of these stories in real life, just in passing. I said, what? You have such a story like this? Like, Africa needs to hear this. And I know this is going to blow. This is going to blow up. So I hope that you take these lessons that you're learning for free, right? And you apply it. The success of this platform, his own success, is hinged on your success. He's fighting for small businesses, MSMEs, and this platform is to empower you, equip you with, the principles from other people's stories, what helped them. So yes, you take the meat and throw away the bone, but you get the point. What applies to you, what you can apply to get leverage, what can help you differentiate yourself, how you can have a wider perspective, a different perspective. Sometimes you need to step back and analyze that, there are opportunities everywhere. It's not getting better for everyone. So you can decide your fate, So thank you. And we've come to the end of this episode. I didn't want it to end, sir. I didn't want it to end. There has to be a part 2. I wanted to say pinky promise. There has to be a part 2. We've come to the end. Thank you for watching and sticking with us to the end of this episode. Man, I'm inspired. Thank you. One thing you can do to help yourself and to help us is to like, subscribe, share, comment, and hit the notification button. And we hope you'll be one of the first persons to see, subsequent videos. Thank you for your time once again, and see you in the next episode. Bye.